Hello Nerfers, my name is Jay and today I'm going to be teaching you how to modify the Nerf Zombiestrike Hammershot. I really love this blaster right out of the box. It's really good stock, but it doesn't shoot regular streamlines, and I know there are still people out there that use regular streamlines, myself being one of them, considering I can't make step-ins. But if you want to use step-ins with something like this mod guide will show you how. So to start things off, I'm going to go ahead and remove all the screws and just take the blaster apart and show you what it looks like internally. Okay guys, I've removed all the screws. There's 12 screws in all, and this is what it looks like. All the internals intact completely. I'm just going to set this aside for right now, and I'm going to hold this right here for like a minute or so you guys can get a good look of what it's supposed to look like when it's all put back together. So the firing mechanism is very similar to that of the Snapfire, where the spring is located down here in the handle. And so I'm going to go ahead and see how this comes out. And it all comes out in one piece, which is very interesting. I've noticed them doing that a lot with the new Elite line. They have this white plastic kind of stuff that serves as like a little shell for it all, and this comes completely out of the blaster, which will make it very easy to paint. And it looks like the orange plastic is actually removable. I'm gonna take this little part out right here so it doesn't fly away, and it looks like these parts are actually removable, and that will make things incredibly easy to paint. So setting that aside for right now, here's a good look at all the internals. It's all one component right here, and I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this part, and that should give me access to the trigger. I believe it's the third screw here, and it should be all of them. It comes out in there pretty good. This side, and that gives you the full mechanism right there, access to the full mechanism. And let's try and remove the spring real quick. That's actually a hefty little spring. So here's how, let's see, it pulls back. Gotta line these, there we go, like such. And the spring, it's all very interesting. The spring, let me focus on this part. There's a little spring behind the trigger here, and that acts as the trigger catch as well as triggers. So it's a very interesting design. I like it. It looks pretty sturdy. It doesn't look like it's gonna break. So that's very cool. And there's seems to be some sort of safety in here, safety catch, which is not allowing it to go forward completely. Play around with that. But anyways, let's get to some of the mods we can do. Let's try and remove most of what we can from here. Let's see. Sorry, it's out of focus. First thing that we're going to be doing is removing the air restrictor from the plunger tube. The assembly slides out like this, and it's all one piece. It's very easy. So the air restrictor looks like this, and basically what you're going to want to do is just drill all this center stuff right out, and from the back, there's a piece of plastic in here which acts as an impact zone. There's actually no dead space on the plunger head, which is very interesting, so that's cool. So what you're going to do is you're going to drill all of this out using a dremel or a drill. I'd probably recommend a dremel more than a drill. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera and then show you what it looks like afterwards. So here's what it looks like once it's all drilled out. I actually left the impact plate intact. I figured out a way to do it without having to drill through the impact plate. So basically what you do is you take your Dremel or if you don't have a Dremel, use a drill with a medium-sized drill bit. Don't go too big, and you drill through the little grill area that's right here, and you just drill that down or Dremel it down, and then you Dremel a hole through the middle of the air restrictor, and then you work your way to the side of it and basically break through it, and then it's pretty thin actually, so it's very easy to just kind of wiggle out of the front hole, and that leaves the impact plate intact, and you're left with some dead space, but there was dead space originally. And interestingly enough, this has almost a perfect seal already, so I'm not gonna mess with the O-ring. I might add a little bit more grease to it, but other than that, I'm very impressed with the seal on it. So it's I'm really amazed at how easy it is to remove the air restrictor from this, and I'm also amazed at the ingenious simplicity of the design. So all in all, I'm very impressed already. So the next step you're going to want to do is remove the pegs so that you can fit Steffens or all other types of darts. So what you're going to need for that is a Dremel, or you could use a pair of wire cutters, which I believe I have. So what you're going to want to do is just basically cut out the little prongs as best you can, and they'll just fall right out. And that's really so much easier than like the Maverick. It's basically the same thing you can do with the strong arm. So if you have a strong arm, you can do this. And the turret here is one solid piece, I believe. So it does not look like it comes apart in any particular way that I can see right off the bat. And if you want to leave it like that, you can, but I would recommend you know, polishing it up a little bit with a Dremel. If you don't have one, that's okay. Just be careful. There are some little jagged edges, and I'm impressed also with the fact that they added a little bit of fabric up here to help with the turret seal. So I'm really impressed with this blaster. It's a neat little thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up off camera with the Dremel, and then I'll show you the last thing that you really need to do to get the most out of this. Okay guys, so the last thing you really want to do is take a hot glue gun, hot glue, and the spring. Make sure that the smaller side is the slide that you're gluing, and glue it about 1/8 of an inch away from the spring rest that it's supposed to be touching. And you want to make sure that you glue all the way around, but start on one side to really set it. Oops. And then proceed to the rest of it. Make sure you really get in there with the glue. You don't want that moving at all. So don't be afraid to use quite a bit. And that's what it should look like. It might be a little bit too bulgy on the sides, but we'll see. We'll play around with that. For those of you wondering, if you took your trigger out like I did, it goes back in with the spring. The longer part that's sticking out goes over here, and the shorter part rests down here. And when it's in the right position, it should look like this. So now that we've got that all figured out, and the interesting thing is that the spring is wider on the bottom here, so you can't, I don't know if you're going to be able to find replacement springs, or I'm sure Orange Modworks will come out with one if this continues to be as popular as it is. I'm a huge fan of this already, so It's looking like, and be sure to test the fit of it. Make sure that it's not going to be knocking against any of the white walls over here. Let's see. And if it is, just, you know, melt off or cut off some of the excess glue. But that's basically everything internally that you need to do with it. Just make sure that you put this white piece back on in the correct manner. And it's all pretty straightforward as far as putting it back together goes. So it really shouldn't be too difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and put it all back together and then show you it firing. So here it is, all finished. It looks the same as it did stock. However, there is definitely an increase in performance. Firing it, it makes a better sound, and the prime is a little bit heavier, nothing too noticeable. I also added some Orange ModWorks silicone grease. So other than that, it's very, very good. As a secondary, this is fantastic. I'm sad it's only 5 shots, but if you get 2 of these and you dual wield, use them in akimbo, I mean, this is a fantastic secondary. Once I got used to how it primed and how it fires, I mean, this thing, I love this thing. It's so nice. The trigger pull is so smooth. It's actually almost a hair trigger. It's just the lightest tap will just set it off. So it's really, really cool. I love this thing. Go out and get one, get 2. I'm definitely going to be painting this, and I love how they have it constructed so that you can remove different parts of it. It will make painting 1,000 times easier. So that's all for now. Huge shout out to BUFFNERD, I believe his username is, on Nerf Haven on the forums. All these mods are his. This is not my own modifications, so if you want to check out his write-up, it'll be in the description below. And remember, mod at your own risk. Modding can potentially damage the internals of the gun, so do so with that in mind. Do not go into a blaster if you have not experienced the internals before. Do your research, do your homework. I'm not responsible for you damaging your blaster because you didn't know how to mod it. So, good luck. This is a pretty easy mod. The internals are fairly simple. So, I hope you guys love the Hammershot as much as I do. Have a nice day.